Savisham Svastir Bhavatu Savisham Santir Bhavatu Savisham Purnam Bhavatu Savisham Mangalam Bhavatu. Let there be well-being for all. Let there be completeness for all. Let there be auspiciousness for all. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu nirmaya, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kashi dukkha bhag bhavet. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let all be happy, let all be free from debilitation, let all see goodness, let there be no victims of sorrow. Peace, peace, peace. These are Sanskrit slokams that I do every day. Darlene Nixon with Chiron Therapeutics, Ordained Healing Minister, Homeopath and Astrologer, among other things. Wanted to talk to you about this current transit astrologically that speaks of these things. That now that Mars is in Leo, we can all have auspiciousness and goodness and well-being. The key themes during Mars and Leo periods are bold self-expression. People feel called to express themselves loudly and proudly, standing out in the crowd and pursuing their dreams. Dramatic displays of passion, relationships, and pursuits take on a theatrical quality as people engage with intensity and commitment. Challenge to authority. The collective spirit is bold and defiant, pushing back against established systems to champion individual truth. Creative ambition. Inspired by Leo's artistic energy, people feel drawn to create, perform, and share their talents. Endurance and resilience. Mars in Leo fuels a strong will to persist, encouraging the collective to pursue their goals with unrelenting passion. Well, this passion is coming from the Mars. Mars is the natural ruler of the sign of Aries. And that is what gives Aries its initiation, the ram, pushing forward. But Mars, as a god, is a god of war. So the Mars is where the heroism comes from, the individuality that is, and pursuing goals with unrelenting passion. Mars is a fiery planet, and Leo is a fire sign. Leo is also the golden sun lion king. So with the Leo regalness and providing the light that everybody else basks in, it's ruled by the sun. And the sun you can't cast a shadow on the sun. Leos are attractive, playful, somewhat sexy. Everybody is drawn to the warmth and the beauty and the light of the Leo. The only time that a Leo might have a downside is if they are providing all this goodness and glory and auspiciousness to their dependents, and they're either taken advantage of or not acknowledged. They're not getting the praise that goes to the glorious one. but there is no way to cast a shadow on the sun. And speaking of suns, we have, when it comes to a challenge to authority, or dramatic display of passion, or even a bold self-expression, we have a banner bearer in the form of someone with a Leo ascendant. Now, as an astrologer, part of the services that I provide at Chiron Therapeutics, that's CIRONTHERPEUTICS, Chiron, is the wounded healer. That's me. Is an astrological reading. And by doing your natal chart, we can discover the positions of all the planets that are in the chart when you were born. So many people look at astrology and they say, I'm a Gemini, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a whatever, right? But that's been perpetuated by using astrology for entertainment purposes with these broad strokes for 30% of the people having their sun in a sign. Whereas for me, to know you personally, it's your rising sign, the sign that was rising on the horizon in the 2-hour period where you were born. And that is the cusp of the first house that also refers to the Aries. Aries is I am. And so we speak of individuality and ego and having strong life force. So being on the cusp of the first house, your rising sign is more of you. So someone with a rising sign in Leo has much more of that Leo quality than someone who has a sun in Leo. But here's the catch. Leo cannot see their own shadow. Everybody has a shadow, but Leo, and it's hard to see the shadow of a Leo because it's ruled by the sun. It's the golden orb that brings all the light and warmth to that constellation, to that sign. So what I'm talking about is on December 3rd, Luigi Mangione took the life of a CEO for United Healthcare. And he gave his reasons that the corporations are parasites and that this guy had it coming and something needed to be done. Voicing for millions of people their frustration with the medical industrial complex and the insurance companies being the arbiters of who gets life-saving treatments and who doesn't. So the collective responded to this action as an act of heroism, as opposed to, what? Oh my God, everybody felt, in a sense, that the CEO deserved what he got because he had instituted technology into the distribution of benefits for the insured that were saving the company billions of dollars and, of course, lining his own pocket while people were dying and suffering needlessly because this artificial intelligence was determining which claims would be paid, what have you. And poignantly enough, Anthem Blue Cross came out on that very same day and said, oh, we're sorry, there was some kind of misconception that we would only pay for certain kinds of anesthesia don't worry, we'll pay for your anesthesia. It seemed like a lot of people were, making fun of or noticing this knee-jerk reaction that CEOs weren't invulnerable. They couldn't hide behind all this money and power that they had. Okay, so we've got the martial aspect of Mars, of being a soldier, um, playing out in this world stage. That it, when Mars transits through Leo, it infuses us with bold, passionate, and charismatic energy. And this placement amplifies the desire for recognition, courage, and an intense will to express individuality, sparking both creativity and drama on the world stage. With Mars's fire igniting Leo's regal energy, there's a potent drive to pursue goals with a fearless, almost theatrical flair. Under Mars and Leo, people may find themselves craving leadership roles, taking center stage, or standing up for their beliefs with renewed vigor. This is a time of high ambition, inspiring the collective to act with courage and boldness. So, if we look at this Luigi Mangione, he was already lion-like. He was already regal in a sense. He came from a privileged background. He was valedictorian of his high school class. He went to an Ivy League school and got honors in college and had a reasonably a good life. There, who knows what the shadow is that started him on this path that resulted in him really going for the gusto and being fearless and causing drama on the world stage. Who picked him? He picked him to do this. And this is where I'm just using this as an example of what we can discover by doing your natal chart and looking at the aspects and comparing them with the planets that are transiting the zodiac as moment by moment. Leo has been in Cancer for the longest time. Then it went direct into, Mars has been in Cancer for quite a long time. And then it went into Leo, went all the way to 9 degrees Leo, then it retrograded. And now it's coming back to 0 degrees Leo on January 6th, which also happens to be Epiphany, which is how it's been described that the Magi arrived in the Bethlehem and acknowledged that the Christ child was the Son of God, right? So it's God showing up. That's what an epiphany is. So we'll see what happens on that day. And January 6th, Mars is going to form an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius, an exact 180 degrees, because Pluto is at 0 degrees Aquarius. It moves much slower. So what's going to be interesting for me is to see the response of the medical industrial complex, because Aquarius represents science, innovation, rebellion, technology, and also humanity or society. So where I was going with this originally is that the response immediately from the public that at least was splattered on the internet, and that's where people get their news anymore. We don't rely so much on paper information, but it was splashed all over the place that this good-looking kid did what everybody felt needed to be done to get the attention that of the inhumanity that is being perpetrated by these insurance companies. But it's the whole medical industrial complex that I refer to, because Pfizer has lost lawsuits and paid out billions of dollars for drugs that have been killing people, let alone insurance companies denying people their benefits to the degree that people are dying because they can't get their insulin or they can't get the treatments that they need because of an algorithm deciding whether or not that they're going to pay out for these therapies and these treatments. And inhumane technological, I don't know what, it's technocracy. Luigi mentioned that the corporations are parasites and that this guy had it coming. He's just speaking what so many people were suffering with in the darkness, so to speak. And finally, they're finding voice, and he is an attractive man, and I'm sure if he ever let his hair grow out, that he would have a lion-like mane of hair. So we're seeing astrology playing out. We've got a real life example of a transit that we see. Now, I'm sure these other aspects where we talk about, passion and relationships and creativity, because Leo does represent, real passionate sex or, attraction, that kind of thing. Also, as well as playfulness and creativity, almost like a childlike creativity. So this is just one example, but for my purposes as well, part of the reason that I became a homeopath is because of repeated harm by the medical and industrial complex to myself and those that are dear to me, because it's based on a model. Modern medicine is based on a model that they are calling scientific, that has no interest whatsoever in actually health care. It is disease care. Therefore, it is a business model that has profit as its motivation for creating iron lungs and all these sort of things. All these, supposedly miracles of modern science and medicine are only there to line somebody's pockets. It has much less to do with saving humanity from the ills of disease or injury. Now, don't get me wrong, surgeons that are able to put people back together after they've been in a car crash or a skiing accident or whatever you want to talk about. I mean, they're brilliant and they do a good job. Um, and more power to them. ER doctors are unsung heroes. But the way the insurance companies have made it impossible for you to get anything from your general practitioner. There used to be this thing. There was even a TV show called Marcus Welby, MD, that was lauding the family doctor's role in families, in culture. That he was the wise man who was able to diagnose so many things and treat. Um, Even the common cold or psychological problems, you went to your family doctor. The family doctor really doesn't exist anymore because of insurance companies. So getting the bedside manner that you want is just unattainable, and therefore the insurance companies are controlling the delivery of healthcare as well. The doctors, before you can even make an appointment, they want to know what kind of insurance you have. And the general practitioner doesn't treat anything. They generally just say, okay, I'm going to refer you to this specialist or that specialist. So it's pulling people into all these different directions, and you're not a human being. You're uh, divided into all these different specialties, right? And even medicine is not designed to help you. For instance, medicine to reduce cholesterol. There really isn't any scientific basis to the idea that high cholesterol is a disease causing indicator, because the result is that supposedly to prevent hardening of the arteries or blockages and stuff like that, they prescribe cholesterol reducing drugs. The problem is that we have cholesterol in every cell in our bodies. It is necessary to have cholesterol to give rigidity to the cell membrane. Otherwise, it would just be smashed like a pancake. So if you're pulling the cholesterol out of somebody's bloodstream, aka throughout their body, eventually they're just going to melt. And I've witnessed people having these kinds of issues. So the idea with homeopathy is that the founder of homeopathy was a German physician over 200 years ago that discovered that if you take a substance that will cause debility in someone, it will help someone who has the same symptoms to get well. For instance, homeopathy means similar suffering. And the goal of the homeopath is to take a catalog of all your signs and symptoms to find a perfect match between that and a substance that would cause not a virus, not a bacteria, not an injury. For instance, mercury is a terrible poison. If you get it on your skin, or God forbid you should ingest it, if you take that substance and render it harmless by highly diluting it, but then again you take it and you shake it up, you agitate it. This is called serial dilution and succussion. That opens up the properties of the mercury, but is not harmful. So for me, treating people that have a horrible, horrible, raw, inflamed, red throat, it's so, usually there's a cough accompanied with it, but it's because the throat is so red and sore, even saliva causes an irritation and choking and gasping. Um, and, it's just this bright red throat, sore throat. And there are other symptoms, but that's a real indicator of a mercury poisoning, so to speak. And that's how we like cures like. But homeopathy is holistic. It treats the whole person. In reality, what homeopathy is doing is strengthening the vital force. It's challenging the vital force by creating in the medicines an artificial temporary disease state that will stimulate your defense mechanism to overcome that artificial disease state and therefore bring about the healing and eliminating the natural disease state. There's nothing in modern medicine that even approaches that. As I said, you're compartmentalized, with all these specialists. Oh, let's go send you to a cardiologist. Let's send you to a physical therapist. Let's send you here. Let's send you there. Let's give you a prescription, right? And the prescriptions, they don't have they keep going. The medicine is not there to cure you. It's to treat. And therefore, the profits keep rolling in because you're not going to die. You're just going to be kept in this limbo state with these terrible drugs, feeling that, and they tell you, don't stop taking it, don't stop taking it. You could have this thing or that thing. All that being said, I, for one, can appreciate how this one actor has gotten in his head that he's got to be a leader and show everybody, that the emperor's got no clothes, and everyone's rallying to him, and they want to defend him. And I've seen things where they're saying, all you need is one person to doubt his guilt, and we've got a hung jury, and he's going to be free. Uh, there are fan letters and women saying online that I don't know what's wrong with me, but um, I'm writing him notes in prison and putting my perfume on it. It's, that's the essence of a Leo, is they're so attractive. You know, even men are attracted to him. He's a good-looking man. He's got a winning smile, and women love him, and men want to be like him. They want to, yeah. And there are some that are even turning him into a saint. Um, But this is where I'm going with this Mars in Leo transit that we're experiencing. And I feel, and I've looked at his chart, but it would be interesting to go to the date when, he kind of like dropped out of circulation, so to speak, to see what was going on with the transits at that time, comparing it to his chart. So this is where I'm going. I would like to do a reading for you. Look at your natal planets, look at your natal chart, and also compare that to what's going on in the astral weather, if you will, and to see if we can find something that may be affecting you. For instance, the degree in which these planets are transiting in different signs and your sign. I know I have a couple of planets in Leo, but they're not at that small degree. They're a little bit larger than that. And I'd have to go and look at, you know what I'm saying? These kinds of things can be done. And it may help you, and I'm sure it will, to identify some areas that you need to make decisions about, or to explain, possibly things that are occurring in your mind body complex that you can alleviate. And if we discover anything that might be on the health horizon, I'd love to help you with my homeopathic skills as well. I do have a website. It's chirontherapeutics.com. I'll put all the links in the description, and I really encourage you to drop me a line. There's a forum on the website. I've got a Facebook page. I've also got Twitter. So let me know how I can help, because that's my job. I'm an ordained healing minister, and I am the wounded healer. By healing my own wounds, it gives me compassion to help others. So, Om Satgamaya Ritrama Amritam Gamaya. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Until next